What caused the sneaker market to crash? So many are asking. Before one could attempt to answer that question, perhaps one should reevaluate and reconsider by asking, did the sneaker market actually crash? Well, here's your answer. No, the sneaker market did not crash. This, in fact, is a misconception, but certainly a very understandable and rational one. Today, I will explain why it seems that the sneaker market has crashed, in addition to what could actually cause the sneaker market to really crash, and even worse, potentially cause a minor recession in the economy. To preface this, if you guys enjoy these types of videos regarding the market, resale, and even info on it to acquire these limited products, be sure to subscribe and enable post notifications. This way, you're 100% updated. Furthermore, for more urgent updates like the recent shock drops we've seen, follow my Twitter, KeithAdam10, and also personals for you. Undoubtedly, sneaker collecting and reselling community has grown exponentially during the quarantine period. Many individuals were looking for ways to keep busy with hobbies and, of course, ways to make money. Unlike myself, who's been in this game since 2013, and many of you who've been watching this channel from 2017 to 2019, these newcomers only knew the sneaker market during that 2020 to 2021 phase. These individuals have never closely examined the sneaker market in 2019 and earlier. Why is this so important? Well, it is precisely this reason that has provoked this misconception of there being a sneaker market crash, where in fact, we've actually experienced quite the contrary over the past couple of years. There in fact was no sneaker market crash. What we're experiencing now is simply the market returning back to normal. Secondary market prices for all limited products in 2020 to 2021 were exceptionally high in comparison to the years prior, as well as what we just so happen to be experiencing right now, thus the misconception. Well, if 2020 and early 2021 were so much better than the prior years as well as right now, what condition provoked this, Keith? To begin with, and most importantly, quarantine is what led to be the biggest factor. During quarantine, many services were unavailable, or many people simply had incentives to avoid them for safety reasons. Hence, goods spending increased in an immensely high amount at the expense of service purchasing. Most notably of all goods were physical, durable goods. Sneakers are merely just one of the many examples that were involved. To put this in the simplest of terms, if you planned to go to a water park but it was restricted due to COVID-19, you still had disposable income to spend. This is precisely why goods spending increased much more than it ever has in the past. This is what I believe to be the most important factor of many factors for creating the perfect storm for an overly inflated secondary market. But wait, there's more. The second most important factor, in my opinion, revolves around the stimulus checks. Of these stimulus checks, not every single dollar of these stimulus checks went to necessities. Inevitably, there are going to be some people who use these checks as disposable income. And as we mentioned earlier, it was less likely that any disposable income would be used on services during this period. Rather, it was more likely that disposable income will be used on durable goods. Of course, this was certainly not how everyone used their check. In fact, all the studies that I've seen thus far illustrate quite the contrary, that the vast majority of people spent it on mostly necessities and essential items. However, that still does not take away from the fact that there was still a percentage of inevitable people that chose to spend on non-essential items. And that's fine, and that's their own choice, it's their business. I'm simply attempting to prove this case. Furthermore, limited edition sneakers, those that resell in the first place, are obviously non-essential items. A pair of Skechers serve the same precise purpose. Hence, the majority of people spending money in the secondary market already have had sufficient disposable income in the first place, making them more likely to not be a part of that group of people that spends the stimulus checks on necessities. Additionally, I say majority because, of course, this does not apply to everyone. There are certainly many sneakerheads who purchase limited sneakers with money that they really shouldn't be spending. This, in fact, only proves my case further, however. If this group of individuals initially spent money on non-essentials despite a lack of disposable income, I believe it's even less likely that they would treat a rack or more any different when it comes from these stimulus checks, especially when it's received all at once. But wait, there's more. That's right, I'm not done brewing the perfect combination for an overly inflated secondary market that so many would consequently become accustomed to. The third most important factor, in my opinion, would have to revolve around the release of the Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, which performed incredibly well on Netflix. Oh, and would you look at that? It released in April of 2020, feeding the flames just as you do during a cold winter night. This documentary exposed much more than Michael Jordan himself to the entire crowd. There was a lot of discussion and, of course, video footage of Michael Jordan's very own Air Jordans. This had a very noticeable impact on the sneaker market very quickly, very abruptly, even while the entire market was already beginning to become inflated for the reasons I already mentioned. Many Jordan retros that would normally be bricks initially, all of a sudden began reselling for lunch money or even more. The people this documentary introduced to the sneaker game, of course, were most likely most interested in Jordans, but without a doubt, many of these people also indulged in the community further and, of course, began noticing the other limited sneakers like Dunks, Yeezys, etc. Hence, with this, we had a lot of new people interested in sneakers all at once, very abruptly. But wait, there's more. However, I'll actually stop myself here. There are additional, less significant factors that played in, of course, but these were the most notable ones that I already mentioned in my opinion. I invite you guys, though, to drop your notions down in the comments below. What do you feel were some important factors that provoked the inflated secondary market? Leave a comment down below, or if maybe you completely disagree with me. Instead, now I just want to show you guys a couple of examples of how sneakers were selling right before this in 2019. Believe it or not, guys, not every single Jordan 1 resold like it did during the peak of quarantine. For instance, the Jordan 1 UNC to Chicago was only reselling for the low 200s in November 2019, very similar to many Jordan 1s that we've seen recently that have been less desirable colorways in fact. Or how about the Jordan 1 Crimson Tints, which were selling for hardly above retail in April of 2019. Many of you resellers who joined the scene during the inflated market of 2020 to 2021 got so used to these retros always reselling that normally rarely did in the first place that you're going to have to get used to how the game used to be. How about the Jordan 3 Katrina, which sold for below retail for a period? How about right before the factors I mentioned, just before in early January 2020, we had the Black Cat Jordan 4, which hardly sold above retail. Now, obviously, this shoe has amazing demand. Look at the price now. Sneakers reselling for low amounts initially is certainly nothing new. It happens to tons of retros, happened a ton before, but not so much in 2020 to 2021. Of course, I could go on forever with these examples just to comfort you newer sellers that what you're experiencing right now is completely normal. Don't be afraid. Instead, I'm going to show you, though, how bad it has been in the past and how reluctant we still are at this exact moment because it can be a whole lot worse than this. Let's take a trip back several years ago when sneaker YouTube was just getting quite popular. Around this time, many Jordans were sitting on shelves while Adidas was killing it. But even many Ultra Boosts and NMDs began sitting on shelves. If you search on YouTube, "Are Jordans Dead?" or "Are Sneakers Dead?" you'll find quite an array of people pointing out that numerous once hyped retros are now sitting on shelves. This isn't a new thing, guys, and right now we just so happen to be in an even better state than 2016 and 2017 was. It's of course very difficult for people to see this, being that we're just coming out of an overly inflated market, especially for the new people on the scene who have never really seen the market at all before the pandemic. Overall, what I'm trying to illustrate here is that what we're experiencing right now is completely normal. It's not a crash, it's more or less just the market returning back to normal. What we experienced in 2020 to 2021 was an overly inflated market. Hence, I do not feel there was any crash, rather just the market returning back to normal. As mentioned at the start of this video, however, I do certainly believe a sneaker market crash can occur. And the cause of this is what may also end up provoking a minor recession in the economy. What exactly am I referring to? Over-ordering. With the surplus of goods spending in 2020 to 2021, many companies began ordering many more products and many more resources than they usually would to compensate for this major surplus in demand. However, that disproportional goods to service ratio can't last forever, so long as quarantine does not last forever, and obviously it did not. What does this mean? Well, it means that companies will now have too much product for the demand that they have, or I should say, lack of demand they have, since the demand is now beginning to return back to normal. When companies cannot sell all their product, of course, this is going to negatively impact their overall net income. And that's where things can get really, really scary really fast. If enough companies misjudged how long that surplus of demand will last for, we very well may be seeing a minor recession as a result of this. Now, this, of course, could affect sneakers as well. However, at this current moment, it does seem that sneakers in particular may have gotten off quite lucky, especially Nike and Adidas, and that's due to all the supply chain issues, especially the major issues that they're facing in Vietnam. Nike and Adidas especially may have just experienced a blessing in disguise, potentially saving them from intentionally over-ordering. This could potentially save the sneaker market from actually crashing, since Nike and Adidas couldn't really over-order by a large amount, even if they really wanted to. However, while everyone seems to be so worried about inflation in the United States right now, what I'm more worried about is that potential minor recession we could potentially face due to this over-ordering of so many products. But again, I'm no economist. What do I know, right? Anyway, that's my thesis regarding why the sneaker market has not crashed, and it's actually just a misconception caused by the smokescreen of 2020 to 2021's inflated secondary market. Evidently, people are worrying much more than they really should, and most of those people just so happen to be the people who are rather new to the game, and that's completely fine. Welcome to the game. You just gotta get used to this. Please leave your notions regarding this topic down in the comments below, whether you disagree or agree. I'm no genius. I simply enjoy sharing my thoughts in a discussion with you guys, and I may be completely wrong, or perhaps I'm right. Leave in the comments below what you think. Subscribe and enable post notifications just to stay 100% updated on all these hyped releases. Also, feel free to check out the links in the description below for fast residential proxies and pre-verified Nike sneakers or Adidas accounts. Also, feel free to follow Endurance's Twitter for updates on restocks or key giveaways, and the same goes for Gargantua if you want to keep up with the progress or Restocks. Last but not least, make sure to follow Keith Adam 10 and Personals for you so you guys stay updated on all urgent info like I was discussing today. With that though, I shall see you guys later. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and of course, good luck on all future releases.